What's up? All right, it's been a little too long since I've checked in with anybody, but some good stuff came to my mind. These were not questions that were submitted. I just kind of realized there's a lot of do's and don'ts that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s. And so I'm just going to dive right in. These are going to be my top five. I actually organized this time. I'm not winging it per the standard. All right, these are the top 5 do's and don'ts when you're pitching investors, production companies, and distributors. I guess that would kind of go for anybody. I don't think there's anything in here that's super specific. It could be pitching agents, it could be pitching sales agents, pitching anybody. Matter of fact, I don't even think it's specific to the film industry, but too many people break these rules. Okay, we're going to do a countdown. So number 5, misrepresenting your project. So there's a few examples of this, but the common ones are saying you have funding when you don't have funding, saying that you've got name talent attached when you don't have name talent attached. And a lot of the time, sometimes there are people that are actually just being douches and they're lying, but most of the time they're not lying. They think that they've got some kind of asset that's attached when in fact it's not actually of any value in the market for someone like me or a distributor or whoever. So an example would be like if you get some name talent attached, but they don't carry any bankable value. So a distributor is not really going to care too much that you've got this person who was a series regular on a TV show that was sort of nationwide. Another very common example is when I get, producers pitching us saying that they've got money attached to the project. But then as we dive in, I realize they don't have money attached. They have tax incentives that don't even really exist yet, right? So this is soft money, and too many producers that haven't been through the rigmarole in the past will think that because you're shooting in Louisiana or Georgia, you're able to say that this sort of percentage of your budget that's coming back is in fact secured money. It's not, because your tax incentives don't even exist yet. So it's really important to not misrepresent your project. You need to understand what the actual assets are. Actual assets are going to be equity attached. Yes, coming to the table with, let's say, senior debt financing attached, it is an asset, but it's a really difficult asset for most people to wrestle with. I don't want to get too into the minutia on this one, but just as an example, it's a hard one because senior debt is senior. So anybody that you're pitching for additional financing knows that they're going to be subordinate to that senior position, and it makes it a far less attractive property just right off the bat. So the things that do count, if you can come to the table with like 30 to 35% of your budget secured in private equity, you just bought yourself a seat at the table, especially if you're able to utilize those funds to secure talent or a named director, but that counts. Another thing would be, you don't have to have bankable name talent attached. It's hard. Everyone says, oh, it's the chicken before the egg. And I'll say, well, when you get this name talent attached, then I'm interested. And I'll have this producer say, well, it's the chicken before the egg, and you're useless to me. Well, no, I don't necessarily need the name attached. I need you to just prove to me that your project has proximity to that actor. So if you tell me that you've got, I don't know, I'm throwing out names. Val Kilmer says that he's interested. I just watched Spartan again, and I love it. So if you say that you've got Val Kilmer in range, he read the script, he's interested. Frankly, anybody that you're pitching that requires a signed letter of intent, they're probably wasting your time. I don't need an LOI. Most people don't need an LOI. If you've got cash and you've got access, you don't need anything signed. An email chain with his agent or manager would suffice. I just want to know that he's read it, he's interested, so that if we come in with money and we're backing his offer, I know that you've already done some of the heavy lifting for me, okay? Okay, so that's what not to do. Here's what you do. I'm trying to be positive. Initially, I was just like angry reading some emails that came in, and I just wanted to do a whole bunch of here's a top 5 things not to do, but I want to give the alternative. So here's the alternative. Instead of wasting both of our time. You can misrepresent your project. It's going to cause me to do my due diligence. I'm going to do my homework. If I don't feel like I fully understand it, I'm going to end up getting the answers. I'm going to end up asking enough questions, and no matter how much you try to weave around, anybody that you're talking to who does this as an occupation or even a side hustle, they're going to know how to cut through it. An investor's who knows this industry is going to know how to cut through. So instead, be extremely upfront. When an investor or production company or a distributor is asking you questions, do not misrepresent it. Just answer the question as plainly as you can, because if you misrepresent it, not only are you wasting time, but you could be damaging your relationship with that person or that company. So don't embellish. If somebody asks you a yes or no question, use a yes or a no. Don't get into the weeds on it. All right, so that's number 5. Number 4, don't be rude. I feel like I shouldn't even have to get into this one, man, but everybody has a bad day, but then there are some people that just kind of wake up, and it just so happens that, Sunday to Sunday, they're just a mean, nasty person. And I don't know why these people think that that's going to get them anywhere in any line of work, but it doesn't. It's not going to get my attention. It's going to get you blacklisted. And in case you're wondering if companies maintain blacklists, yes, they do. I'm not going to name names, but everybody does. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you shit talk, if you act like an asshole, you're going to get cut off. People aren't going to want to work with you, let alone hang out with you. So it's like you kind of got to be the Obama of the film production world. You want all these people that you're pitching to want to sit down and have a beer with you. So little notes here. I would just say that before you get rude or feel like a sense of rejection, just know that, and I went through the numbers on this. It looks like about 10% of the projects that are submitted to us, and this seems to be true over the course of about a decade, which is basically as long as I've been doing it, 10% of the projects are things that I'm actually looking for. But even out of that 10%, there could be little things that don't jive with like my capabilities or what we're looking for. Remember, I mean, like, we have people that we answer to as well. So it could be investors, it could be distributors. We might end up seeing a project that we really love, and it's definitely happened to me in the past, and then for whatever reason I'm not able to make it fit. So even out of the 10% of the projects that, yes, it's wine time, even out of the 10% of the projects that I really like, only a small fraction of those are we able to transact on and make happen. So before you get upset when somebody turns you down or says, hey, it's a nice pass, congratulations on the project, but we're not able to pursue this, doesn't mean that you have something bad. It also doesn't mean that the person that you're pitching doesn't like you or doesn't like the project. It could be great. It just might not be the right time or the exact right fit. And that's okay, because one man's trash is another man's treasure. There's always going to be other opportunities. Just don't take it out on the person that you're pitching. And also remember, I've had people recently, really sending some rude stuff. I know my business partner was telling me about some of these emails that came in, and I was just like, well, we've been there. Like, we've seen this before, and I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't that guy when I was first starting out. I sent out some rude stuff occasionally, and I got too emotionally involved. But being nice is, always going to get you further. I'll go ahead and name drop, right? I mean, because I feel like it's worth it in this instance. So I have pitched Dr. Dre. I've worked with Russell Crowe for 6 months. He wrote my letter of rec for grad school. Peter Weir, director. These guys are at the top of their game. And despite what the tabloids say about Rusty, they're like really cool. They're open. They want to listen. They were nice. Now, there's always the horror stories about the big execs who are super powerful and they're going to be, total dicks. All right, it happens. But the point of the story is, I feel that out of the people that I've met, some of the most successful are also some of the nicest. It's like you don't meet very many black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who are walking around strutting their stuff and acting like dicks. Like they're kind of the nicest guys on the planet, because why act like anything else? All right, so that's number 4. Don't be rude, just be super nice. Come like yourself and recognize that whoever it is that you're pitching, you're going to them hat in hand asking for something. So be cool about it. And if they say no, be nice, because you might want to have them around in the future. All right, so that's number 4. Number 3, don't overevaluate your project. We're getting into more common things here. Okay, so overvaluation of your own project is super common. You might have gone and made a movie and spent $1 million or $6 million, and you're out in the marketplace now, whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with a sales agent, and you're starting to get some numbers back and you're not liking them. There's a case that I was looking at earlier today, $3 million project, beautifully done, really looks fantastic. I haven't watched the entire film yet, but I've talked with a studio distributor today about the same movie. I was curious if they saw it. They saw it, they loved it, they wanted to get it, but their bosses said no because the name talent wasn't big enough and they simply didn't have enough space in their calendar. So the only thing that they were really missing was having name talent of a certain level on that project that was going to justify, at the very minimum, a limited theatrical release. And so you can spend $3 million on a picture, but it doesn't mean that your picture is worth $3 million. If I go and buy a Toyota and I put a Ferrari engine in it and I make all these modifications to it, I may have spent 6 figures on building this weird little Frankenstein car, but the value of it is going to be dependent on what people are willing to pay for it. So if I've got a Ferrari engine and a Toyota car, I don't know, are you going to spend 6 figures on it? Because if you're going to spend 6 figures, typically people want to brag about what they're driving. So don't overvaluate it. Just recognize that the market value of your picture is defined by the market. And yes, you can have differences of, on a low budget film, you could have a difference of $50 to $100 to $150 acquisition price per territory, depending on what distributor you go to. But ultimately, there's going to be this little happy area where your film is going to sit, and it's going to be dependent on those things that are bringing value and putting fans in the stands. So we've said it before, name talent, recognizable director if you don't have the name talent, and then obviously good genre and good script executed. The do on the don't overvaluate your project. I find that, and this kind of goes into the next point, but I find oftentimes when I'm discussing the valuation of a project with a filmmaker, they are so close to the process of writing the front side of a check that they feel like, hey man, I personally signed off on $3 million in expenses, so I simply don't believe you when you tell me that my film is only worth 1.5 or 2 million. And the big takeaway here is ask the opinion of the people that you're pitching. If you're not getting the answer that you want and you think that your project is worth more, you could be right. You could just be talking with the wrong distributor or the wrong production company or the wrong investor. But ask them, like, why is it not worth my asking price? What's knocking the price down? And you're going to have some outliers, but if you end up pitching 10 people, you're going to get a pretty decent average of what everyone is saying. There's going to be a consensus. And my suggestion would be listen to it. And also have those conversations before you go and spend the money. All right. Number 2, huge one. Don't be a know-it-all. So like I said, don't be a know-it-all. Ask questions, listen. Don't pretend that you've got all of the information, because you don't. Again, you're coming hat in hand. There's a lot of work that goes into being in a position where you're being pitched. So while you're going out to people and you're wanting them to get involved in your project, help you attach talent, help you bring money, help you bring pre-sales, distribution, recognize that it took that individual a long time to get to where they are. So if you simply shit on them and disagree with them and you know right and you always know right, that's not the right attitude to have. So you just have to kind of stay the course. And even if you're getting emotionally involved and you're upset, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I'm still asking this individual for something. I'm still asking them for help. And maybe, if you're thinking, well, what if I'm pitching somebody who's an asshole? There are assholes out there who are in a position that you're going to have to pitch. Honestly, again, like the last one, ask their advice, because even the assholes love to talk and they're looking for mentors. If they're being a dick, they're insecure about something. So forgive them for it. Move on. Life is still good. Let them teach you something. Maybe you'll take something away from it. All right, so that's point 2. Last point. Number 1, don't think the world owes you anything. There's a reason this is numero uno. I feel like the entertainment industries as a whole attract a lot of people who want to win the lottery. There's like a lottery mentality. They feel like they're going to move out, whether they're an aspiring actor, director, doesn't matter. They feel like the world might owe them something. And there's a decent number of people that kind of have this behavior, this like entitlement. So, while, and again, like the last point, while there are people who work in this business because of who they're related to, there is nepotism that takes place. Just, again, remind yourself that you are taking time out of their day. And so come at them offering something. Maybe just offer to take them out to lunch. They might, they don't know you, so they might turn you down. But the mere fact that you're offering to take them out or buy them a drink, you're coming to them with something. You're not just saying, give me. You're saying, here, have this. I'd just like a piece of your time. And I think that's about it. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else. It's been fun. I see a little cat that's looking at me wanting pets. I don't know. It's my wife's cat. I might give her pets. We'll see what happens. Aloha.